Oh. I was testing out what would happen if I clicked the mute button to capture myself when I was coughing. So let's try this again. Yay! Yes. Here we go. Alright. You guys can hear me now, I bet? I hope, maybe. Alright, let's see here. Yay! Now we can hear her. Alright, cool. So let me do this again. Take 2 of the ever blooper-written morning show with news and all the stuff. So this morning I am saying good morning or good afternoon for my friends across the pond. To Bubonic for you, Sir Wolfie, Neil, Mitch the Ripper, Jacob, Reality Check, Malachite. I have a fuckwad and a tranime in my chat. As I scroll down, the Batman's in there. Numbskull, Mariel Bell, Unholy Mole, Pagan Butterfly Kitten is also in my chat. The missing doesn't count unless I don't say your name. Then there's a Nugget says I am scrolling down, so hopefully everybody can hear me now. Because what is my show without at least one blooper or typo or something? You guys are going to have to excuse any typos this morning. I have a radiating heater that is about to rebel on me. Because, well, you know, this thing is supposed to be heating my room, but the only thing it seems to be heating is the space or like directly around it. Good morning, Kat Kinserin. How are you? And there's Mitch the Ripper. So, I'm sure those of you that are on Twitter and over the weekend have seen the shit show that is still going on. My God, these people need to get over themselves and move on with their lives. I swear to God, because this has gotten to ridiculous levels, and that's all I am going to say on the matter. Other than I am not, until all that shit dies down, I am not going to recommend a single video from either camp. And the only thing I am going to shout out is going to be the Tonkasaw's Kumite, and that is it. I am not going to recommend any videos from either side. Nothing, because I've had it. I'm done. I am seriously considering unfollowing everybody from both sides and getting, and also, you know, just getting out of the Discord, getting out of the Discords of, you know, either camps until all this shit is blowed open. Oh yeah, don't worry about it. You missed it. Yeah. Yes, Jacob, I am not a Beatles fan. Period. I see that, numbskull. I see it. Alright, so let's see here. What have we got to look forward to this morning? This has been confirmed. Little Ryland has lost his mom. They were holding back on the news to tell him that he had lost his mom and 2 sisters. So once again, I am putting this up on the screen Monday morning for the P.O. box and stuff, for you can send him Christmas cards and dollars. He's been receiving that already from last week. But please open your hearts and send out the cards, and, you know, maybe if you can afford $1, slip $1 in the card. Was the heart progress thing for real? No, the heart progress thing was for real. Bubonic, the heart progress thing was for real. So, yeah, that was not fabricated. That was for real. Alright, so, let me see here. Another thing that we've got going on is it is that time of the year in the United States. Toys for Tots. Every year the Marines do this. They are collecting unwrapped toys for children that are underprivileged or unprivileged. So please check the link in the description below for any locations near you that have the Toys for Tots boxes. And please help out a child in need today. With the ongoing FCC problem that is happening, we have an FCC lawyer and Judge Williams on the screen going back and forth about what happened back in the Obama administration. So, yeah, this has been going on for a while now. So it says, FCC lawyer, if ISPs want to curate the internet, that would drop them out of the definition of broadband internet access service. Judge Williams, they have that option under the order, FCC lawyer, absolutely, Your Honor. If they filter the internet and don't provide access to all or substantially all endpoints, then they drop out of the definition of broadband internet access service, and the rules don't apply to them. It is the FCC's position, then, that ISPs have the option to select to be a non-broadband internet access service provider, thereby avoiding Title II. Net neutrality advocates presumably would prefer that people forget about this exchange during oral arguments. So that actually happened. I figured I was going to share that with you guys. So that is going on for the FCC. So that is our little bit of stuff this morning. And as you can see, he is trying to get me to play fetch with him, and I have got news to do. But he doesn't really give a crap, because dogs have their own agenda. Yep. I know the Navy beat the Army over the weekend. I know. Alright, so. There was something else I wanted to highlight, but we're probably going to find that out in the news. So let's go ahead, roll that intro, and get into the news. Alright, so first thing in our announcements this morning is the fact that this is straight out of the State Department. I follow their Twitter, so whenever anything pops up on their Twitter, I am going to relay that to you guys. I am following the State Department, I am following the DOD, and all other, as many departments as I could find on Twitter. After a courageous 3-year campaign of intense fighting, Prime Minister Abadi has announced the complete liberation of all Iraqi territory from ISIS control. The United States applauds the leadership of Prime Minister Abadi, and we offer our sincere congratulations to the Iraqi people and to the brave Iraqi security forces, many of whom lost their lives heroically fighting ISIS. The Iraqi announcement signals the last remnants of ISIS's self-proclaimed caliphate in Iraq have been erased. And, and the people living in those areas have been freed from ISIS' brutal control. The United States joins the government of Iraq in stressing that Iraq's liberation does not mean the fight against terrorism, and even the fight against ISIS in Iraq is over. The United States, along with the global coalition to defeat ISIS, will continue to partner with the Iraqi security forces, advising, training, and equipping them. Together, we must be vigilant in countering all extremist ideologies to prevent the return of ISIS or the emergence of threats by the terrorist groups. In a minute, Zeus. Throughout its vile occupation of large areas of Iraq, ISIS showed its despicable nature by using children and other civilians as human shields and turning hospitals, mosques, universities, and schools into weapons, making and storage facilities and bases for its terrorist operations. The global coalition has been proud to support the Iraqi security forces who fought bravely to defeat these terrorists. Beyond human casualties, ISIS left a trail of destruction in its wake, with an unprecedented number of Iraqis displaced from their homes and massive damage to infrastructure. The United States has contributed nearly $1.7 billion in humanitarian assistance and committed more than $265 million in stabilization assistance to Iraq since 2014. The United States has also contributed $112 million to assist in clearing improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, mines, and unexploded ordnance, as well as educating Iraqis on the dangers of explosive hazards that ISIS left behind. These efforts have helped facilitate the safe and voluntary return of more than 2.7 million Iraqis to their homes. Working by, with, and through the government of Iraq, we will continue to help our displaced Iraqi friends return to their communities and support them as they begin to reestablish their lives. We remain committed we remain committed to standing with the government of Iraq and the Iraqi people to stabilize areas liberated from ISIS control. Thank you. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Right. Never mix up your IEDs and our IUDs. Exactly. Or your STDs. Exactly, guys. Exactly. So that's the first bit. It's a little bit of good news. Not all the news is bad. I like to actually report some good news every now and again, and I figured that was some pretty damn good news. Now on to the other news. Yipes. Alright, we're going to close this down. Saturday, Israel kills 2 Hamas men after Gaza attack. In the Gaza Strip, 2 Hamas members were killed early Saturday. This happened after a rocket attack from Hamas. Some sources say it is in response to President Trump making good on a promise to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, a recognition that has increased tensions in the region. Israeli military admitted to targeting 4 Hamas facilities as a retaliatory strike, also admitting to the strike on Sderot, without it resulting in massive casualties or a large amount of damage. They hit warehouses and weapons manufacturing facilities. It was after this strike that Hamas found 2 bodies in the rubble. The demonstrations to Trump's recognition continued into Saturday, making a third quote-unquote day of rage. As of this report, there were clashes in approximately 20 locations. Palestinians threw rocks at Israeli troops, who responded with rubber bullets and tear gas. Israeli military has stated that firebombs and rolling burning tires from almost 600 Palestinians have occurred. I gotta rewrite that. A total of 13 people have been arrested for illegally protesting. Let me see here. Also... Why is hummus being attacked? You don't like hummus, nuggets? Hummus done right is some addictive shit. I will have to admit, I like me some hummus. Some good hummus. Because I've tasted some really crappy hummus. Ain't working for me. Alright, here we go. Manafort caught drafting op-ed under house arrest. Prosecutors for the special counsel that is investigating Trump have claimed to know every word Manafort edited in an op-ed while he was under house arrest. They argue this activity under house arrest raises serious concerns about his trustworthiness, because Manafort was trying to start a public relations campaign to defend himself. Prosecutors are now trying to keep him confined to his home after they discovered his involvement in the drafting of an opinion piece about Ukrainian politics. This would have proven to be a violation of a judge's order to keep from using the press to try his case. Early last week, Mueller's office accused Manafort of ghostwriting the same op-ed with a comrade whom the office said had ties to Russian intelligence. An attorney for Manafort argued the piece was only edited after he received it from a former Ukrainian official previously known through consulting work. The knowledge of the editing process was declared on Friday by prosecutors. Regardless of the investigation, the op-ed was published in an English language newspaper in Ukraine. This was done under the byline of Oleg Voloshin, former Ukrainian official. Voloshin told AP he authored the op-ed in defense of Manafort and went on to insist Manafort did not aid him in any way. Let's see, but the Palestinians always said there would be rivers of blood if a single Jew remained in Israel. Exactly, Batman, exactly. They're not going to stop. They aren't going to stop. The Batman. Do some research into the state of Israel, UN, and the UK. The Israelis all tried to make huge concessions. Yeah, they have. They have tried to make concessions on top of concessions on top of concessions, and the Palestinians don't want to hear it. There is nothing that they can do to come up with any kind of frickin' compromise. And the Palestinians just don't want any compromise at all. I am going to be looking into the 2-state solution, as well as other things, to do another live stream, probably with a couple of friends, so we can analyze what's going on. And I also happen to have, because there was a link in this in the full article to the op-ed, and I started kind of thumbing through it and seeing some of the changes that he made to it. Let me know in the chat by typing 1 if you want me to do a live stream actually going through the document and the changes that Manafort made. 2, if you don't want me to do a live stream on those changes. I'm leaving that up to you guys. Alright, next story. Tillerson gets an earful about Trump in reference to Jerusalem. Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, was in a meeting with U.S. allies in Europe when President Trump announced the recognition of Jerusalem being Israel's capital. Tillerson ended a 5-day, 4-city, 3-country tour on Friday, but not before receiving an earful by just about every U.S. ally, including Russia and the Muslim world. Tillerson was in the audience when Macron said the contested city must be the subject of discussion between Israelis and Palestinians. Though the meetings led to agreements on North Korea and fighting terrorism, but they could not agree on Jerusalem. Tillerson was vocal on the matter as well, saying he did agree that Trump's declaration, one that runs in opposition to 2 decades of U.S. policy, has taken from the United States' ability to be an honest peace broker in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. However, Tillerson seemed to flip on his original statement when Trump did not agree with the general consensus of the compromising of remaining neutral, supporting the president. He urged the public to listen to the entire speech, taking into account what was said and what was implied, otherwise not written. Trump stated he will support a 2-state solution if the Israelis and the Palestinians can agree to it. So, yeah. Early in the morning, freezing my butt off doesn't really help with its editing, so I'm sorry about the bad frickin' type. Alright, this moves us into Sunday. Well, I got a couple of ones in the chat. I got an A from Fuckwad. What did you delete from Sir Wolfie? Oh, a second one. Oh, so you... Okay. Alright, first, the letter is Israel's capital. Yep. Mm-hmm. Trying to make girl, that was a bad day joke. There's a something misogyny. Okay, so, and the backlash continues. Israeli and French leaders clash over U.S. Jerusalem decision. Macron met with Netanyahu on Sunday and had an exchange in reference to Jerusalem and Trump's decision. Though Macron, yep, I mistyped it, stated Trump's decision, quote, doesn't seem to serve the short-term cause of Israel's security and the Israelis themselves, unquote. He also pressed Israel to place a freeze construction of settlements, in lands that are occupied and to work for measures which will help build confidence in regards to the Palestinians. Understandably, this has set the stage for a tense meeting for Netanyahu with EU foreign ministers in Brussels. The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas stated Trump's decision has eliminated him from furthering the role as mediator of the peace talks. The Palestinians have tried to rally Arabs and other opposition to the decision abroad. Okay. This is just, this is just something that's going to be going on and having a problem with until there's some sort of resolution to this. And the problem is I don't see a resolution to this. This is what happens. This is what happens when you decide that you are going to proclaim something to the public without having a firm plan in place on how you're going to do this and keep the peace in a very volatile region. Because let's face it, the Palestinians and the Israelis have been going at this for years, decades even, and they haven't been able to come up with any sort of concession. Good morning, Ghost Dog. How are you? And I put Macron in here, and, you know, a lot of times, you know, people say what you want about Macron, I think. Under no uncertain terms, the man does not have a backbone because of what's going on in his own country. So I don't think that he should, about 75 years, I did say decades, that covers a lot. I believe in terms of what's going on in his own country, Macron does not have a backbone. And therefore, not having a backbone, you can't really, you know, sit there and go, well, you can't, you know, be a mediator for peace because of what you did. Okay, fine. On the one hand, I understand where you're coming from with that because, you know, Trump blanketly declared that he is going to live up to the promise of making Jerusalem a capital and moving the embassy to Jerusalem. And, you know, this is a really good idea. Yes, we are keeping our word to Israel. The problem is, in the political and diplomatic arena, will this cause, it's already causing a lot of strife and adding more problems to an already volatile situation over there. I think it should have been handled a lot better than it was, in my opinion. But Trump is one to talk first, and then everybody else. It seems to me, in my opinion, that he talks and says we're going to do this, this, and this. And these messes become prevalent, and then people have to come behind him and try and straighten out these messes. This is not the way a president should behave. I think he should have sat down with everybody and said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to declare once and for all that we are going to actively work in order to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. I want to move the U.S. Embassy there. We need to put our heads together and figure out how we're going to do this and maintain peace in the area. Because you can't favor one over the other in a war that's been going on for what Batman thinks is about 75 years. Oh, will you hush? Mommy is doing work. Mommy is doing work, you silly mutt. Get over there. Alright, next one. Alright. 3 people arrested in Swedish firebomb attack. 3 suspects have been arrested for being accused of lobbing firebombs at a synagogue in Gothenburg, Sweden, making it the second anti-Jewish attack in as many days. There were no injuries reported in the Saturday night attack, which was during a youth event at the synagogue. The incident has been linked to Trump's recent decision on Jerusalem due to the fact there was a rally on Friday where people were yelling anti-Jewish slogans and displaying Palestinian flags. I'm expecting a lot more of this stuff to occur. Okay? Because it's not going to stop until all this stuff is finally resolved one way or the other. And that's just my opinion. And in order for me to continue, I will be repeating myself. And I'm not going to do that. Alright, and here we go.
City police responding to an explosion in Midtown Manhattan near the Port Authority bus terminal. NBC News researcher Christian Santana is at the scene, joins us by the phone. Christian, what are you seeing and hearing?
Good morning, Savannah. What I'm seeing right now is about 3 dozen police vehicles, fire trucks, ambulances. Police have begun clearing out the area. It's unclear what the situation is. There are bomb squad vehicles present, and police have cleared out the Port Authority terminal itself.
Okay, and you mentioned the ambulances. Have you seen any kind of injuries or anything that would indicate that there's been any kind of activity?
It's unclear if there's anyone injured. Police right now are running around the buildings with looks like bomb-sniffing dogs. Looks like they're looking for some kind of residue of some sort.
Okay, Christian, thank you so much. And our investigative reporter, Jonathan Dean, saying there's been 1 minor injury, 1 person in custody. Again, an explosion of some sort that seems to have taken place near the Port Authority bus terminal in the heart of Manhattan, 42nd and 8th Street. And as you can see from that image, police activity is extensive. Ambulances, bomb squad. We will find out what exactly has transpired here and continue to watch it thanks to our reporter, Christian, who's on the scene.
Okay, now I am going to look up and see if I can find an update. That was this morning while I was putting the show together, and there has since been an update to this. According to the New York Times, take it as a grain of salt if you will, a peaceful beginning to the work week. No, blah, blah, blah. The suspect, identified by the police as a Kayed Ullah, 27, from Brooklyn, was in serious condition at Bellevue Hospital Center. The fire department said 4 injuries had been reported. So 4 people have been injured as of this particular update, which happened in the New York Times this morning. They are not reporting any deaths. The Port Authority subway station was bombed shortly before 7:30 a.m. this morning. They do have a Kayed Ullah in custody. A senior official who declined to be identified because of the continuing investigation said that Mr. Ullah had been wearing an explosive device, and after the blast, the police had to strip him to remove it. The subway stations were evacuated, and the Port Authority bus terminal was also shut down. Mr. Ula was alone. The police said the device was reported to have gone off prematurely. Premature explosion. The explosion was recorded on surveillance video, the city official said. In a news conference, Mayor Bill de Blasio called the blast an attempted terrorist attack and said no other devices had been found. Quote, "Our lives revolve around the subway," unquote, he said. And he continued by saying, quote, "The choice of New York is always for a reason, because we are beacons of the world and we show that a society of many backgrounds and many faiths can work," unquote. I am going to drop the link in the chat over here. So that is what we know so far. I'm going to keep an eye on it, and any more updates I will either do short live streams, a short video update, or I will put it in my blog. But that in the live chat right now is the current story as brought to me by the New York Times. So there is that, and my prayers and everything goes out. I hope nobody that I know was caught in that and is stuck in the middle of that one. Monsanto offers cash to farmers using controversial chemical. Likely not attacking Christian festivals is a direct attack on Western culture. Oh. Okay, let's see here. There is a weed killer that can cause widespread crop damage, and Monsanto has said it will give cash back to U.S. farmers who have purchased it. This could offer an incentive to use the product, even though regulators in many U.S. states have placed restrictions on its use. The name of the chemical in question is Extendamax with Vapor Grip, an herbicide derived from the chemical dicamba. Monsanto is willing to refund over half the sticker price in 2018 if it was used on soybeans the company engineered to resist the weed killer. Farmers say crops were harmed because the herbicide drifted to places where it was not sprayed. Though restrictions make the chemical more expensive, the incentive may help talk farmers into using it in 2018. Monsanto, it's food because we say it's food. Don't question, just eat it. Exactly. Which is scary as hell. Let's see what we got here. And this is actually from a website. And I'm going to read you the more disturbing things from what I can gather about this particular God damn it. I got too much shit open and I can't keep up with it. Alright, here we go. There we go. Let's see. Trade for other names. Metambane, Dianat, Banvel, CST, Banvel D, Banvel XG, and Maddy-MWM. Let me see. Products containing dicamba must bear the single word warning. Doesn't that instill confidence in our labeling program? Dicamba is a benzoic acid herbicide. It can be applied to the leaves or to the soil. Dicamba controls annual and perennial broadleaf weeds in grain crops and grasslands, and it is used to control brush and bracken in pastures. It will kill broadleaf weeds before and after they sprout. Legumes would be killed by dicamba, in other words, beans. In combination with phenoxyl alkanoic acid and other herbicides, dicamba is used in pastures, rangeland, and non-crop areas, fence rows, roadways, wastage to control weeds. Okay, here's the scary part. Dicamba is moderately toxic by indigestion and slightly toxic by inhalation or dermal exposure. Why the fuck would you want to spray your yard with something that you have to wear a hazmat suit for? Symptoms of poisoning with dicamba include loss of appetite, vomiting, muscle weakness, slowed heart rate, shortness of breath, central nervous system effects. The victim may become excited or depressed. Benzoic acid in the urine, incontinence, cyanosis, bluing of the skin and gums, and exhaustion following repeated muscle spasms. Shit like this scares the crap out of me. Let me see. Chronic exposure can lead to the development of the same symptoms as described for acute exposure. Let's see. They actually gave this shit in doses to rabbits. Oh, Lord. Okay. Data from laboratory studies are inadequate for EPA to determine if dicambia can increase the risk of cancer in humans. In mice, some enlargement of liver cells has occurred. A similar effect has not been shown in man. So, it's like, really? Now with free adult diapers. Exactly. Strontium-90 would be safer. Yeah, exactly. It's scary. This shit is scary. And they're pushing it, which is even scarier. Alright, and here we go. Last story of the day. Clock running out for Trump. The clock is winding down on a momentous 2 weeks for the president and GOP-run Congress. The Republicans are determined to bounce back from the failure that was, quote, repeal and replace, unquote, over the summer by revamping the tax code, though many fear the code changes will benefit the rich and not the middle class. Lawmakers are in a rush to complete the following agenda before December 22nd, 2017. Finalizing the tax bill. It is estimated the proposed elimination of state and local taxes will add up to $1.3 trillion in revenue, which could be used for tax cuts. However, many think more money will be added to the $20 trillion deficit that we already have. Budget deal. Republicans want more money for defense. Dems want more allocated to domestic agencies. How much disaster aid will have to be addressed for Florida, Texas, and Puerto Rico. Legislations on children's health. Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, expired on October 1st. This program, according to AP, provided low-cost medical care to more than 8 million children. Immigration, which will focus on dreamers. Pelosi has stated Dems will not leave until a DACA fix is made. So that is the last story. Tranime Girl. Monsanto welcomes their new CEO, Bender, and reveals their new slogan, kill all humans. It seems that way. Yes, this shit is bad, Ghost Dog. But every time there's the Monsanto stamp on it, it can't possibly be good, in my opinion. It really can't possibly be good. Because, I'm sorry, Monsanto is also the same company that say that they're humanitarian and that they, sent seeds to third world countries in order for them to be able to grow their own crops, but they genetically engineered said seeds to only give one crop. Meaning they couldn't let some of the plants go to seed and replant those seeds because those seeds would not make another crop for another season. These third world countries would have to come back to Monsanto and buy more seeds. I mean, these people, I don't think there's an end to their depravity and the shit they're trying to pull at this point. I really don't think so. And it's sad. The Batman. Is anyone else thinking Union Carbide? And that's the news for the day. Like I said, there's a couple of stories that I am trying to keep my eye on. I still have to see if I can weed myself through the net neutrality thing, which is probably going to take me today and tomorrow to do if I force myself, because it is 210 pages of nothing but legalese and citations. It's enough to make somebody's eyes cross. On Wednesday, I will probably have a special guest. Mr. Merlin Wolfhound has wanted to join me because Wednesday is the vote on net neutrality. So I want to get as much information on net neutrality out there as possible so people can make an informed decision for the vote and see what's going on and what this net neutrality shit is actually all about. Because there are people that will scare you, there are people that are trying to allay your fears, and there are people in the middle that are still waiting to see if any more information is going to come out. So, there you have it. On to the next segment of the show.
Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
First on the list, is not Ranting Monkey, is Appabend, with a video titled, "This Cannot Continue." Apparently, the SJWs are now going after Japan's kawaii culture, stating that it is sexist, when in fact, if you listen to Appabend, kawaii culture is a break from the intense work schedules that are over in Japan and Japan's culture as a whole. Fuckwad. Buy Monsanto corn now. Now with 60% more thalidomide per serving. Exactly. Eggs. Fucking exactly. Monsanto corn. Now with guaranteed mutations. Exactly, Batman. Exactly. So he does, Appabend does address the kawaii culture, what it is, and how it isn't sexist, and the fact that these SJWs need to chill out. Yes. Yes. Next one on the list is Ranting Monkey, who breaks down the math for Patreon with the title, "Patreon's Bad Math is Bad for Everyone." And that is why I am making the official statement today on this show that I am going to be closing out my Patreon account. I am going to be looking into makersupport.com, but in the meantime, if you want to support me, I do have monthly subscription PayPal links on my website that you can access by going to the website and clicking sponsor. So there is that option until I can get something else set up. Let me see here. Next one. Does Mr. Burns run Monsanto? You know, I'm beginning to think so, Ghost Dog. I'm beginning to think so. Tranime, I am on Maker Support as well. And see, I don't know about the Bitcoin thing. All that cryptocurrency confuses me, and I'm admitting that freely. Next one on the list. Roaming Millennial with Chelsea Handler's Trump Derangement Syndrome. She explains and provides examples as to how Chelsea Handler went from actually being funny to being a fucking cunt. And there goes my monetization. Because she has become... It's amazing how many people Trump has made blindingly stupid and clueless. It just amazes me to no end how many people he has pissed off just by becoming president. People are having meltdowns left and frickin' right, but it's funny. Yep, she is. She's the poster child of cringe now. She's no longer a comedian. She just shouts things into the wind and throws shit at the wall in hopes that something will stick. And that's pretty much all she's doing right now, Sarah Lee, in my opinion. Last one on the list is Scribe Light with greeting cards against humanity. Yes, another man with white male guilt. And Scribe has a nice conversation with him. Now, he did admit in a live stream last night, when the guy goes into the whole babysitting issue, that he was thinking about the babysitting as, you know, as attending your child. In other words, sitting with your kid or sitting with your baby, and people in his comment section were saying that babysitting was a job. So he totally misconstrued the whole babysitting thing. So give him a little bit of leeway for that, but it is a really good video because he does respond in typical Scribe fashion to what's going on and what the guy is saying. It's a really good video to watch. So that is Scribe.
I'm telling you guys, it's wrong. It's wrong! It's wrong!
Yep, it is wrong. It's time for cancer. The Smurfette principle. Why can't Hollywood accept gender equality? You know what's coming. Let me get my sip of lemon water. Here we go. As Jumanji. Welcome to the jungle and its show, I'm reading it exactly how it's written, the problematic trope of token girls and all-male gang in duels. It has been a good year for women in cinema in many ways, with a high count of quality female-made and female-led movies, and the removal of an echelon of sexual predators from the industry. But by some metrics, there's still a way to go. In particular, the Smurfette principle. The phrase was coined back in 1991 by U.S. writer Katha Pollitt, who bemoan the number of films and TV programs that featured a group with one lone female. Not just the Smurfs, but also the Muppets, Winnie the Pooh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and so forth. The message is clear, she wrote. Boys are central, girls are peripheral. There's little to celebrate when applying the principle to recent movies either. Next week, for example, sees the release of Jumanji. Welcome to the jungle in which 4 teens are sucked into a fantasy game world. 2 girls and 2 boys. But when they get there, one of the girls finds herself in the body of Jack Black. That's a funny gag, but it leaves Karen Gillan in skimpy Tomb Raider gear as the sole female lead. Even in a movie that could have had equal gender billing, the Smurfette principle appears to abide. Perhaps that's a fitting ending to what's been a Smurfette-heavy year. Even Wonder Woman, the female empowerment icon of 2017, has been the Smurfette twice this year. Her own movie began with a pleasing reversal. Chris Pine is the lone male on Themyscira, but when they got down to the action, she was in the world of men. And in Justice League, she once again surrounded entirely by males. It doesn't get much better elsewhere. Star Wars has had a long-running Smurfette problem. As Batman put it in the Lego movie, turns out the hairy one's a dude in the metal one too. All dudes. Things reached a low point with last year's Rogue One, though the last Mary Sue is making some amends with the new character, Rose Tico. Yes, I misread that on purpose. Let's turn to the biggest horror hit of the year, It. What do we see? A bunch of pubescent boys plus Beverly, who's regularly the object victim of male sexual desire. They're not gonna ever mention Ghostbusters, you know that. Flip over to its small screen counterpart, Stranger Things, and it's exactly the same. The last season's Smurfette 11 was out to the picture this time, so the boys swiftly found a replacement, Max, whom they alternately ostracized and lusted after to the point where you wondered why she wanted to be in their gang at all. The problem is so glaring, even the Smurfs themselves realized they needed to do something. In this year's Smurfs, The Lost Village, the actual Smurfette deserted her blue-skinned patriarchy and discovered a whole community of female Smurfs. So rejoice! Gender parity has at least been achieved in Smurfland. We're still waiting for the rest of Hollywood to get the memo. And there's your dramatic reading for a cancer article. Oh my god. I want to fucking die. That's why I always read it dramatically. That way the cancer is not as bad and you can laugh at it more. Skimpy Tomb Raider gear is awesome, says Traname. Well, see, from what I've seen from the trailers of the show, she's actually complaining about how scantily dressed she is. Which is, what they're conveniently leaving out. But, why actually be accurate? Because that would make too much sense. Alright, scrolling up. And here are the live streams for the day. Scrolling up on your screen now. The Batman. We need to burn Hollywood to the fucking ground. Yeah. Ghost Dog. What the fuck? So a movie where all the people change bodies, a problem. Why? Because there aren't enough females. You know the answer, Ghost Dog. There aren't enough females. Not enough diversity for diversity's sake. Doesn't matter if the woman can be funny or not. She needs more women in the movies, Sincerely, isn't Hollywood already on fire? Yep, they're burning. That's another story I have got to, do an update on. Burn Hollywood, take over YouTube. Says Traname. Yep, they've been doing wildfires. Let me see. We need to add napalm. Yep. There are certain... it amazes me. I always knew, most Americans have always known that Hollywood has been predominantly liberal. Okay, they have been very, very liberal to a fault in some cases, but never as bad as it is now. It's sickeningly bad now, in my opinion, and they just really need to fucking stop, because this is just horrible. Absolutely horrible. Let me see. Trying to make girl. Oh my God. Is Philip DeFranco okay? Wasn't he? I think he's one of the people that would have gotten out before it got to his house. I think he's all right. I think he actually did a live stream Friday. The Batman. Once over, they were liberal conservatives. Yeah, but they've gone completely liberal. They have gone completely freaking liberal. And it's just most of Hollywood. There are a few conservative actors, but there's becoming a trend in the number of what's going on with the conservative actors in Hollywood and in that industry as a whole. And it seems that no matter what they do, if they openly voice their... and this is a tin hat theory, even though I've actually seen this as a pattern. When an actor out of Hollywood decides that they are going to openly voice their conservative views, they slowly become a pariah. They slowly become vilified. Any projects they are working on, any TV shows that are airing, end, become canceled. They try to silence that particular voice. And then there are a few examples of this. So it's sad to see, and it's sad to take notice of something like this. But, I mean, it's a pattern that you really can't ignore. Because you're seeing more and more, liberal voices coming out of Hollywood and less conservative ones, unless these conservative voices go on an offshoot and go off the beaten path for interviews and get their word out in a different way. Using different magazines and news sources in order to get their word out and the way they believe in a political way out. It is sad to realize that, the conservative voices in Hollywood are being quieted. Some people can say that is a tinfoil hat theory of mine, and I will completely agree, but there are some things that I have just witnessed that is going on, and it is really sad because it shouldn't be. Truly, it shouldn't matter what your political affiliation is if you are a truly talented individual. Seriously, kind of sad. They were the ones who introduced me to Epic Dog Explosion. Sir Wolfie, I thought Smurfette liked having all that dick to herself. It does make you wonder. I mean, they're going further and further down this rabbit hole. And I don't think, and much like the NFL, who's losing revenue, until they wake up and realize what they're doing and the fact that they are losing at the box office, not because the movie is bad, but because of their political views, it's not going to stop. Mariel Bell, Hollywood is a place for films, not to be a political hotspot. I completely agree. The Batman, it is not a tinfoil hat theory. A shit ton of Hollywood celebs toe the SJW line to keep their jobs. Most definitely. Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I can't even remember his last name. Tim the Tool Man. Everybody knows it when I say it like that. He lost his show because his show was mainly conservative in nature and had conservative views written into the script. He is a glaring example, in my opinion. There are people going after other actors on Twitter for their conservative views. People that are trying to, they're going after William Shatner. Thank you, Tim Allen. Thank you, Numbskull. Some people are trying to argue with William Shatner that happen to be SJW snowflakes, and I love how Mr. Shatner is handling them on Twitter. It is an absolute delight to see somebody that is an actor go, no, I'm not buying into this shit. All this shit is bullshit. Yeah, he is going after the SJWs, and it's wonderful to see. If it doesn't say Binford on it, somebody else makes it. Trinity Girl, exactly. Tim the Tool Man. Every time I say that, most people know who I'm talking about. I love that show. Sarah Lee, I love following Based Kirk. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see actors actually, fighting against this particular ideology, because it is an ideology. It tries to encompass everybody and everything in the way that they believe, and that's sad. It's really freaking sad. So, having said that, May your coffee ever flow. May your caffeine be ever strong. And may you have a marvelous Monday. Take care, my little coffee nuts.